Hi everyone, Bandanner here, and welcome back to the RTS Cast and Stuff channel. Welcome back to the open beta. Remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Today we're going to look at the vehicle tab of the Russian battle group. Hopefully this should be fairly straightforward, as there's, again, not a lot here, and it should be a reasonably short video. So, first thing we're going to look at is obviously the BMPT Terminator. This thing is a beast. So, much like the T-15, this thing is a tank chassis with a shitload of weaponry on top of it. Just not a normal cannon. So, as standard, you get the 2A42 autocannon. Obviously, a very nasty piece of kit. Bear in mind that there are two autocannons on there. This isn't one autocannon, look. This is two autocannons. 30mm autocannon. Good penetration on the kinetic rounds, and then obviously pretty much the same as the other 30mm on the heat rounds, which obviously can target infantry. Not a massive blast radius though, so something to bear in mind. Also has a PKT, which I believe is that little thing sticking out the very top. And then finally you have the Attacker T missile, 1800 meter range, 950mm of heat penetration. So, plenty of firepower on this thing. Weapons package can be upgraded with two AG-17 grenade launchers. So, if it wasn't enough that it had all of that other weaponry, for 20 points you can stick two grenade launchers on the front there. Grenade launchers, obviously, again, 1800 meter range. Good blast radius, obviously effective against infantry. So, this thing can just be a powerhouse in terms of damage output. Can engage tanks from long range, can obviously kill infantry in buildings and everything. It's a nasty piece of work. You'll see these used a fair amount in the game. I quite like them. I think they're very versatile. Obviously, they're not going to go toe-to-toe with tanks for very long, but those Attacker Ts are pretty nice for firing from range. And again, you know, it is heavily armoured, and there is an armour upgrade. You can have additional ERA, which takes the side from 600 to 800 if you so wish. I'm not sure I've ever brought the additional ERA. I just try to keep them, you know, straight on to stuff where possible, but they're really nice pieces of kit, especially if you keep them alive. Next up is the Cornet D1. It's basically a box with tracks that fires ATGMs. Pretty standard stuff. We saw the same in the American deck, right? So this one has the Cornet M, 1600 meter range, 1200mm of heat penetration. Again, the Cornet is a very nice missile because of that massive heat penetration. Now, that's the Cornet plus optics. We can change that to 2x4 Cornets, which reduces its optics from 1400 to 1200, but obviously you then get a lot of Cornets. These, however, are only standard Cornets, not the Cornet M, so although they have the 1600 meter range, they drop to 1000mm of heat penetration. So not quite as good, but still, that is a lot of firepower. Definitely not to be underestimated. So, the other thing to mention, obviously, is this can be power dropped in. So it's one of those VDV style units that can be power dropped in. Doesn't have any seats, though. And interestingly, only 70 speed on this one. Next up, you've got the Sprut SD. This is a box with a tank gun on it. Doesn't have much armor. I'm not a big fan of this, to be honest. I don't know how other people feel. I've never really brought it in. I just kind of feel like I'd rather have a tank. In terms of what it has equipped, it's got the 125mm tank cannon, which does have AP rounds. It has HE rounds, and it also has a missile, so it can fire a missile as well. 1500 meter range on that, 750mm heat penetration. Unfortunately, the cannon itself only has 1300 meter range, so its range isn't spectacular, and obviously against a tank with this armor, it's not going to fare very well. You can upgrade it to the Sprut SDM. Doesn't actually change very much. It's got an increase in its line of sight range, 1400 instead of 1200 there. It gives it 2 PKTs, and it changes the gun slightly. Does that... It doesn't increase the range, though. That's a shame. I thought it might increase the effective range to 1400, but maybe that would have to cost more. It's kind of a bit of a disappointing upgrade. So the only real change, I think, there... Yeah, the only change is this. I guess the reload time is a bit faster. And this changes. What's the difference? Okay, so it's got slightly more penetration. I'm just not a fan of the Sprut. I've got to be honest. Let me know in the comments if you bring it. Again, it can be power dropped in. So, I mean, you can drop it in behind enemy lines. But, yeah, I'm not a fan. Not like power drop stuff in a lot, I guess. The Sturm S. It's another box with tracks. This one is, only 65. Not very fast at all. It's got a Concon on there. Can be power dropped in. Amphibious as well. This thing, effective range 1600 meters and 750 millimeters of heat penetration. So, pretty standard to what we've seen before. You can upgrade it to the Sturm SM for 15, and that gets you the Attacker instead. And the Attacker, obviously, 1800 meter range and 950 millimeters heat penetration. I mean, it is what it is, right? I'm not even sure where on this the missile fires from. So, the Sturm S is at the back there. It obviously pops out. Oh, there we go. It literally doesn't change. It's just at the back here. We've managed to make it pop out. It might be alright. It's got quite a few missiles. I wouldn't jump on it. Next up is the T-14 Armata tank, the big bad boy. So, good front armor, obviously. Very high on both kinetic and HE, or heat armor. 125mm cannon. Full 1400 meter range on both of those, the HE and the kinetic energy. And then down here we have the Sokol 5 lead pursuit missile, and some people say this is a top-down trajectory. I cannot confirm that, but I've seen some people claim that it is top-down trajectory. Obviously, it doesn't say it is a top attack missile there, so there's no guarantee that it's going to hit top armor, put it that way. PKT and a Court HMG. So plenty of firepower on there. Mainly it's in here to be a tank with its cannon and obviously all of that armor. No upgrades available. Next up is the T-80U. So again, standard tank, decent front armor, not as good as the Armata obviously. Standard variant comes with this gun. 1300 meter range on the kinetic energy and the heat rounds, or the HE rounds. And then down here we also have that lead pursuit missile. 1500 meter range, 750 millimeters heat penetration with a PKT and a cord. However, there are different variants. So, the T-80 UM-2. So this upgrades it to have the active protection system. So no active protection system, active protection system. No change to anything else though. The T-80 UM, which removes the active protection system but gives it a better line of sight from 1-200 to 1-400, and also gives it 2 cord heavy machine guns. And then the T-80 UA, which gives it some ECM and also increases that front armor. So the T-80 UM and the UA give the increase to the front armor. It's a little bit confusing because they all do different stuff. And interestingly, the top one there removes a cord HMG but actually changes the main cannon. So it's got a -4 variant of the main cannon there. It's really... I wish these would stay open. 350 to 700, and that is 400 to 800. So basically, it's just an improvement over the existing cannon. But still... Oh, lead pursuit missile with 850 millimeters heat penetration. So it actually has an upgraded... Oh, does it? the UM and the UA get an upgraded missile. It's so hard to tell. It is genuinely so hard to tell. Maybe if I do this. I guess that might make more sense, because then you can see it a bit easier, can't you? 750 there, 750, 850, 850. I guess that helps when it's looking at the individual ranges and stuff on these. So, yeah. It's the cheap end of the tanks for the Russians, basically. Then you got the standard T-90. Familiar tank, perhaps, from movies and things like that. Even if you're not a military hardware buff. This is a fairly common one you see in the movies. This thing, obviously, again, it's a standard tank. There are two variants, so there's a 92 variant and the 2006 variant. The gun does change, you'll notice there, between the two, and obviously it gets improved kinetic energy shells. Other than that, improved line of sight, or improved recon range. Also gets improved armor on that T-90A, but nothing else. Oh, a little bit of speed increase. You've really got to look at everything on these, because some of these changes on these tanks are really just massive upgrades that aren't really explained. It's just a completely new version. Fine. Nothing else to write home about, I guess. Then you got the T-90M. This is sort of your step down from the T-14 Armata, I guess, in terms of capability. Another expensive tank with some various armor packages and things. Let's have a look at the main armament again. So we have one of those main cannons, 1400 meter range here. So we've stepped up from the T-90A there, and now we're on the T-90M, where we get that 1400 meter range on the cannons for the kinetic energy and the HE shells, and then 1500 meter range on those Leap Pursuit missiles, 850 penetration. So very similar, I guess, to what we're talking about with the Armata to some extent. Decent front armor, smoke, nothing else, but we can upgrade that armor package. We can have soft case, explosive reactive armor on the sides there, so we get a bit of an increase to the side armor. Can have the Arena APS instead, which gives you 4 active protection system shots. Or you can have the Arena APS and the ERA, so you get a bit of both. Weapons-wise, you can either have a PKT machine gun, 2 of them, or you can switch one of those out for a Cord heavy machine gun. Nothing too exciting in the weapons there, but you know, it's a tank, it does what it says on the tin, and the advantage to these Russian tanks obviously is they do come equipped with missiles. And that's everything. It's a fairly short video, really, again, for the tank tab. In fact, it's probably shorter than the American one, because it felt like you were looking at a lot more variations of the M1A1 there, where here they are sort of separated a bit more. But there you go. Thank you for watching, everyone. Please do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all later for the next video.